Are you waiting for inspiration to strike before you do your art, your business, your work, anything creative? This is an amateur way to approach creativity. In other words, to just wait till you're inspired and then do it. This is not how professionals do it. And the reason I'm making this video and really a lot of my videos is because you're going to have to be a professional creative to succeed in the AI-dominated world that we're entering now. So everybody's got to start thinking like a professional creative because you have to become one. Otherwise, you're going to be replaced by AI. In this video, I'm going to tell you about my experiences and what I've learned and practices that I use to keep me inspired, keep my, creative well full, so to speak, so that I can always create when I want to. So backgrounds in the film industry in the US, Hollywood, writer and director, and wrote a bunch of scripts. And the movie that I wrote and directed is on Amazon Prime and Apple TV. And did just spent a ton of time writing stories, right? Writing scripts over 15 plus years. And so in order to keep writing that, right, one screenplay, one movie script is 90 to 120 pages. And that's not to mention all the writing that goes on before you write the actual script, and then all the different drafts of the script. Ton of experience coming up with ideas and stories and characters and all that. And one thing that helps is to be doing something creative in your life that's just for its own sake. In other words, it's not towards making money. It's just creativity for its own sake. So maybe you draw, you paint. For me, I've been doing improv, comedy improv. And here I'm living in Bali now. I've been here for 2 years. And here improv is just people do it for the fun of it, for the sake of it. It's not, I did it in LA, but it was a springboard to the film industry there. So people had that other motivation to do it. And here people are just doing improv for the sake of improv. And the difference between doing something creative for the sake of it and for the love of it and for the art of it, the craft of it, versus doing it in order to make money or some other means, is that weighs down your creative process, your creative juices, your creative muscles, right? Because you have anxiety around that. You have stress around that. It's occupying mental space and mental energy and emotional energy as well, because that part of it, whatever the professional part of it, the money part of it is. And so that pulls away from your creative muscles. It's if you were running with a weighted vest on, that weighted vest is all the other worries and stress and thoughts and feelings around how to make money with it. And doing something creative without those constraints and those weights, you develop your creative muscles and you get that muscle memory and you get better at the creative stuff, the creating, and then you can take it and apply it to the ventures that do involve making money, because you're going to need to do that also. This is just your training, right? Like the way that professional athletes will do some weight training, they'll do flexibility training, etc. They'll do other training besides the actual sport itself, and then they'll come and they'll be great in the game because of this other extra training. So this is about that. It's about doing that training to get your creative muscles strong, and also to enjoy it. It's also to get some enjoyment from being creative, because sometimes it can be hard when you're so focused on money and business and making money from something. It's less enjoyable. This is also just to enjoy being creative, enjoy doing your art, whatever it is. Okay. Another one that it's obvious, but I see that a lot of people don't really do it, and that's to consume great art, right? Great creations. And now I'm just seeing so many people are now, they're watching TikToks, Instagram, they're spending so much time on social media instead of watching great movies, reading great books, looking at great paintings or art or dance, ballet or opera or anything. And they're spending their time just consuming nonsense, basically, which does not really inspire great work. You will get much more, you'll learn much more about how to tell stories from great novels You'll get inspired to create art that really connects on a human level, on a deep human level, from great movies, great paintings, etc. And yeah, I'm just sad that a lot of people, I'm just seeing less and less people doing that, and people are not reading books anymore. And the books that people are reading are mostly prescriptive nonfiction, right? Like Atomic Habits, that kind of thing. What they used to call self-help, no, prescriptive nonfiction is what they're calling it for some reason. But self-help, personal development, right? You get it, Tony Robbins, that whole genre. And that stuff's great. I read that stuff too, but it's not the same as reading great fiction novels. Great fiction novels have a much better commentary on, you'll learn much more about humans from great fiction novels than you will from prescriptive nonfiction that is allegedly about how humans work. I mean, it is, but it's much simpler. And you'll learn much more from reading great fiction. And the experience is also more richer and more satisfying. And then that will inspire you in your own creative process. The other thing is you have great ideas. You're just losing a lot of them because you're not writing them down. And we're obviously firing so many ideas through our head. You have plenty, whatever you're working on or needing to create, you have more than enough ideas. It's just that a lot of times you have them when you're not sitting down to work on the thing. You have them when the classic one is in the shower, or you're on a walk, or you're just doing something else entirely. And you get some ideas, and then oh yeah, like that's a good idea, and then you don't write it down, and then you forget it by the time you actually sit down and work. This is a habit to build, is to actually capture your ideas, whether you're carrying a little paper notebook and pen. Obviously, your phone has multiple notes apps. I'm using Craft nowadays, CRAFT as my notes app. I like it better than other notes apps I've tried, like Evernote and Apple Notes. But anyway, it doesn't matter what the app is. Just capture them, or use a voice recorder if you don't want to write down, or it's easier, just record a voice memo. And then later you can listen to it or just transcribe it. Now, right now, it's very easy to get to transcribe audio. That makes it easy also. Thinking of yourself, again, everyone's got to become a professional creative, or you're going to be replaced by AI. I can't emphasize that enough, because some people are not believing me. And I just want to really try to reach whoever I can with that message. Is you have to become a unique, creative human, or you'll be replaced by AI. And so treating yourself like a professional athlete who would train every day, you got to train every day. You got to do something creative every day, which means could be just sitting down and coming up with ideas for something. It could be doing any art, as I mentioned, any kind of drawing, painting, sculpting, anything like that, writing anything, stories or ideas or concepts, sketching use various computer, digital art stuff, anything where you're creating something new, something's coming from your mind and you're creating something new, or a new variation on something that already exists. That's also creating something new, but doing it daily. You got to get in professional shape here, seriously. And the other thing is doing some activities that are rest and restoration. I just read something about a lot of famous authors, and one of the things they all had in common is they take long walks. And so when you're working or writing or creating or whatever, and you're focused in your mind, you output a certain amount, but then when you rest and restore, a lot of other ideas come in because you're more relaxed, and your brain is able to give you other ideas that weren't on the focus track that you were on. You get more ideas, plus you just rest and restore your creative muscles. Same for a professional athlete. They don't work out 24 hours a day. They rest and restore. So you got to do the same thing. But watching TikToks, that's not rest and restoration. That's what people are like, taking breaks now by watching TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And that is not rest and restoration. That's actually the opposite. That's stimulating your dopamine and your brain, other brain chemicals, and you're actually exerting a lot of energy. And that's actually detracting from your capabilities to be more creative. So that is not rest and restoration. Exercise can be Restoration is obviously not rest, but it's restoration. And meditation is great. Can't recommend meditation enough. I do every day. I meditate, and I've been doing it for probably like 6 or 7 years now, and I've tried different kinds. I think you just try the kind of meditation that works for you. Just find different ones and find which one works for you, but can't recommend meditation enough. Another thing that I didn't do for a while, but that I'm doing now, is different kinds of creative practices and mediums. Meaning, I was very focused on writing movie scripts for a long time and not doing any other kind of creative practice really. Then I started doing improv. I did some stand-up, and lately I've been doing much more improv, and I did a one-man show that was a combination of stand-up comedy, long-form storytelling, and theater. So I was playing different characters, and I want to try some other things like painting or something, which I've never really done. And the point is to do other kinds of arts because it stimulates other creative centers of the brain. And then that is going to help whatever your main creative practice is. So even if you're like, whatever, a graphic designer, you're a copywriter, whatever your creative thing is, doing other kinds of creative practices, other kinds of arts or crafts will stimulate other creative centers of the brain, and that's going to help you in your main creative craft. So do that. Another thing is collaboration with other creative people. It could actually mean working on a project together, or it could just mean sharing your project, you're getting feedback, getting wisdom, getting resources. But it's really helpful to have a supportive community around you, and both just to keep you in it and feeling good and motivated and supported. But also there's a cluster effect, which is that you reflect the people around you, and a lot of people doing doing similar things, everybody gets better, right? Because you have these effects on the impact that you have on each other. So it is good to find some kind of community of supportive people and creative people that are doing this also. And if you can't do it in your local area, then find it online. There's plenty of communities online. Teaching can help. Teaching what you know how to do helps you to learn it more, like, again and better. There's an African proverb, when one teaches, two learn. So when you're teaching someone else, you're both learning. And so this has really helped me a lot. I've been teaching improv here, and I taught some stand-up comedy, and it helps me to learn it in a deeper way and get better at it. So teaching can really help you get better at whatever your craft is. And then just have some patience with yourself. If you're not producing today the same output that you did yesterday, have some patience. Not every day is going to be as productive as another, but if you are consistent, you show up every day, you sit in the chair and write, or whatever your version of, if you're not a writer, whatever your version of that is, but you show up every day, that's how you're going to keep getting better, and how the inspiration will come. There's a quote by the author Somerset Maugham. He said, "I only write when inspiration strikes. Luckily, it strikes every morning at 9 o'clock." Which is a very powerful quote, if you think about it, or for me it is, because it's saying he's going to show up. He shows up every day at 9 o'clock, sits down, and he just trusts that inspiration is going to strike, right? If he sits down every morning at 9. Take that to heart and just show up every morning at 9 or whatever your set time is, and just trust that inspiration will strike and that everything you need, you already have. Thanks for watching, and I'll come back in tomorrow for the next video.